Alright, so today we're starting chapter 5b, looking at frequency tables, column graphs and histograms as part of our statistics unit. So, if I can go to the next slide. There we go. So the first thing we're going to look at is frequency tables. So we look at frequency tables as a way of displaying data by showing the number of values within a set of categories or class intervals. It may include a tally column to help you count the data. So if you're ever asked to draw a frequency table, this is it. What you do is in one column, you write down all your options. Okay, so for this one, obviously we're looking at ice cream flavours. So you write your options. You can use this tally to help you count if you want. You don't have to have that. And then you've got a column for frequency, which is the number of however many people. So for this one, it might be there are 2 people that chose vanilla and there are 4 people that chose mint choc chip. Okay, so it's just a way of organising our data and displaying it. A column graph. So over here, we've got the definition. A column graph can be used for a single set of categorical or discrete data. Okay, remember from 5a, categorical data is like different options such as vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, that sort of thing. Discrete data is numbers. So it could be the number of siblings you have in your family. So you might have 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. Okay, so we're looking at numbers. So a column graph, we use that to display our data again. So we're going to do this example over here together. We're constructing a frequency table and a column graph. So we've got 20 people checking out of a hotel who were surveyed on the level of service provided by the hotel staff. The results were, and this is what everyone said. A says construct a frequency table to record the data with headings category, tally and frequency. All right, so let's do that. So we've got category, it's our first column, tally and frequency. Okay. Now, let's write our categories. So it's always good to write them, I guess, in order. So the worst service provided that people gave reference to was it could be poor. Another one is average. So we're just putting all the options here. We've got good. What else do we have? And first class. Okay, so there are 4 different options here. So now what we do, use the tally and mark how many we've got. So we've got poor, first class, poor, average, good. And you just keep going through. So you're using this tally to help you put them all in. You don't have to use it. You could just go through and count them all individually. That's fine. But this is like what the point is, I suppose. First class, good, average, average, good, poor, first class, good. All right, so we've done our tally. Now we're going to do the frequency. So what is the actual number? So for this one, we've got 3 people that did poor, 4 average, 8 good, and first class is 5. Now, it's a good thing to check, making sure that we did cross off all the options, is that because 20 people were surveyed, we should get this adding up to 20. So let's just check. 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 8 is 15, plus 5 is 20. Good. So we did account for them all. So that's really good. Now, B says construct a column graph for the data. So with the column graph, we have this axis and this one. Okay. The one on this side is our frequency. Okay, and the one down the bottom here is the category. All right, so down here we're going to write our categories. So we've got poor, we've got average, we've got good, and we have first class. Okay, and our frequency, it goes up to 8, so let's put our numbers from up to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, this is not very neat. You guys will be using a ruler and a grey lead. Okay, so now that we've got our axes, okay, that's what we call that, we've labelled all of our sides, we've put all of our points in, we can now draw our columns. So for poor, we had 3. So we're going to go up to 3 and draw a little column over it. Colour it in. Okay, average, we had 4 people. Okay, so that one went up to 4. For good, we had 8 people. And first class, we had 5 people. Okay, so with this column graph, you notice that they don't have to be touching. They shouldn't be touching. Okay, see how there's gaps here? And yeah, all this is showing, it's just displaying the data in a graph, so it's easy to read. Okay, histograms. So looking over here for our definition, histograms can be used for grouped, discrete or continuous numerical data. So again, this is numerical data, so the answer is a number, and it can be used for discrete or continuous. So discrete is a whole number, continuous is like decimals. Okay, unlike before when we were looking at column graphs, that was only looking at discrete numerical data. So if you have continuous numerical data, which means numbers that have decimals, then you can't use a column graph for that. Now, the frequency of a particular class intervals is recorded. So down here, you've got the interval of 10 dash. That means below and includes all numbers from 10, okay, including 10 to less than 20. Okay, so from 10, including 10, up to 20, but it doesn't include 20. So the other thing, we also can find the percentage frequency. So that means, yeah, the percentage of something happening. To find the percentage of something happening, you do the frequency divided by the total and you times by 100. So yeah, over here, this is a histogram, okay, this one. And this is our frequency table for this. So let's construct one. Let's look at this example 3. So again, we've got 20 people, so that's important information. They've been surveyed and we've found out how many times they use the internet a week. These are the numbers here. A says, organise the data into a frequency table using class intervals of 10. Include a percentage frequency column. So we're going to do a table like this one over here. Okay, so we've got class interval. We've got frequency. And we've got percentage frequency. I'm just going to do it short like that. If you want, you can put a tally column like that last one if it makes it easier for you. Okay, it says for our class intervals, it wants intervals of 10. Okay, so we're going to do the same as over here. So from 0 dash, that means from 0 up to 10, but it doesn't include 10. Okay, 10 up to, so that's pretty much up to 19, 20 up to 29, 30 up to 39. And we're going to have to go more because I can see up in our things up here, but it goes up to 40, so we're going to have to do another graph as well, or another bit. Okay, so frequency. How many numbers between 0 and 10, but not including 10? So we've got 1, 2. Okay, so we've got 2 here. Then we've got from 10 up to 20, but not including 20. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 20. So in the 20s. So, oh, I forgot this 19 here on my last one, so that should actually be 8. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for this one. Okay, numbers in their 30s, 1, 2, 3, 4. And numbers in their 40s, it's just 1. Okay, so that's good. So where are we at now? We've got our frequencies. All of these should add up to 20 because we've got 20 people surveyed. I can see that that's good. Okay, for our percentage frequency, okay, so to do this column, what we need to do is do the frequency. So for this first one, it's going to be 2. We divide it by the total, which is 20. Okay, and then you times by 100. All right, so for this one, you should get 10%. Okay, so for the next one, you'd go 8 divided by 20 times 100, and then you should get 40%, and you do that for all of them for this column. So we're trying to find, so this means 10% of people use the internet less than 10 times over the week, yeah? So you're going to keep going, so you should get 25%, 20%, and 5%. And to make sure you got it right, you should add them all up and you should get 100%. Okay, so that's A. B says, construct a histogram showing both the frequency and percentage frequency on the one graph. So it's very similar to before when you do a histogram. So you do your axes, okay? And we've got, this is your frequency on this side. And down here is your class interval, or another word is score. It just means all your numbers. Okay, and so we're going from 0 to 10, 20, 30, 40, let's go to 50. Okay, there are numbers, and it wants us to include the percentage frequency on the one graph. So we actually have one up here, and that's this side is going to be our percentage frequency. So there's a lot to it, but hopefully it's not too difficult. It's just a bit time consuming. So for 0 to 10, let me grab a different colour. From 0 to 10, okay, we've got 2. Oh, hang on, I haven't finished. I haven't put my numbers up the side of frequency. So we're going to go up to 8, and I might go up by 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Now I can do it. Right, so from 0 to 10, I had 2. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Keep in mind here, guys, because this is 0. So from 0 to 10, that's why I've got my block there. I'm just going to change colour for each one so that you can always see the difference. Okay, so from 10 to 20, we've got 8. So we're going to go all the way up to 8 for our next one, over to 20. With histograms, they must be touching each other. Okay, 20 to 30, we've got 5. So about here. Okay, 30 to 40, we've got 4. Good. And then 40 to 50, we've only got 1. And we can shade that. Okay, so that looks really good. With our frequency, okay, what we can see, say for our first one at 2, okay, the percentage frequency is 10%. So looking here at 2, that means matching up on the other side, you should have a 10 for 10%. Okay, we might go up by 10s, yeah? So we'll go up by another 10, so 20, and we know at 20%, so here, at 20% it's 4. So here at 4 going across should be 20. And that looks about right. So we know that if we keep going up by that amount of intervals, you should get up 40%. That'll be 30%. Okay, and that's right because we do have a 40% one here, which is at 8, and these two do match up. So that's really good. Okay, so that's our answer. We do have C. C says which interval is the most frequent. So I can see the most frequent is the biggest one. Okay, so from 10 to 20. So the answer for this one is from 10 upwards. D says what percentage of people use the internet 20 times or more? This one can be a bit tricky. So 20 times or more. So we're looking here from 20 or more. So we go all the way up. So we need to add these ones. So here, from the 20 to 30, we've got the 5, this one's 4, and that one's 1. So we add them all up. So 5 plus 4 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Okay, to find the percentage, you divide it by how many in total, and and you times by 100 to turn it into a percentage. Okay, so you should get 50% of people use the internet 20 times or more in a week. Okay, one very last slide. We have something called skewness. So when you do your histograms, sometimes your data looks symmetrical, which means your middle column is very high, and then the data gets, stretched out, that goes a bit smaller. You can see here. That's what we call symmetrical, because if I was to draw a line in the middle of the data, they look very similar on each side. We've got positively skewed. Okay, so that means if your data starts to get lower as you get higher, so it starts high and it gets lower, that's what we call positively skewed. Okay, and the alternative to that is if you've got negatively skewed. Okay, so you've got low data here and it gets higher and higher. We call it negatively skewed.